Let's say it's 2005, and I'm going to tell you about these amazing companies that are changing the shape of the world and it's going to really impact how we live our lives. Companies such as Tesla, Facebook, and Apple. Would you listen to me and invest? Well, here's the thing. It's not 2005, it's 2021, and the world is changing even more. There's some major things coming up in our immediate future that's going to shape how we live our lives, how we work, how our kids and grandkids will live. And I want to tell you all about that now so you can invest early. Hi, I'm Yolanda and welcome to Financially Fabulous Females. I'm a wealth advisor and it is my goal on this platform to give you easy, actionable tips, content and strategies that you can use to manage your money well and to build generational wealth. Thanks for joining me today. And if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button. Tons of videos like this come out regularly, almost every week. And also tons of other videos that you've missed out if you're watching this video for the very first time. So please subscribe to the channel. And if I'm giving you value, I would really appreciate it if you can hit the like button. It will just help my video reach people just like you that are looking for information just like you as well. All right, so it just tells YouTube that, hey, this girl is talking about something interesting and I think that more people should know about it. So hit the like button. So today we're talking about international trends that are just starting out. It's just in their infancy stages and are ready to hit the big time. And I want to tell you about it now so you can get into it now and make some money in the future. All right, if I told you about Tesla and Apple and all of that in the early 2000s, you'd think I'm crazy. But look at how these companies have shaped the world. Apple, Facebook, Snapchat, all of that has changed the way we live our lives. In the early 2000s, who would have thought that our faces would be glued to a screen, be it a cell phone, a tab, or a smart TV. But here we are in 2021, and the world has changed dramatically from what we thought it would. And we're going to go through some major changes in the future as well, and I want to tell you about that right now. So there's four major things that are happening in the world that you need to know about as a savvy investor. Technology is changing. We've seen it in the last decade, how things are going, and it's going to expand even further, a lot more quickly in the coming decades. Things like artificial intelligence, it's replacing everything from robo-advisors that are basically taking over my job. And it's changing everything from banking to the motor industry, self-driving cars. We see some of the richest men in the race to get into space. So technology is changing how we live, how we do business, and even how we learn, how we teach. All of that is changing, and you must have seen that with your kids already. So technology is going to change even further. All right, this is one thing that you need to be getting into really, really early. Those companies that are developing these kind of technology, the microchips, NVIDIA, IBM, those kind of companies are really making it big. Tesla, Amazon, again, just set for world domination, and those are the kind of companies that you need to be in. That being said, the contents of this video is not financial advice. Although I am a fit and proper South African advisor, you need to sit with your financial advisor and he or she will give you advice according to your circumstances, according to your risk appetite and your investment horizon. All right, so this video is for educational purposes only. The second thing that you need to be paying attention to is environmental sustainability. Now, the world population is exploding at a rapid rate. Food security and water security is a major issue. And we see people like Bill Gates telling us that we're overpopulated. Okay? And we need to start planning for that. The World Economic Forum tells us that by 2030, there'll be a 40% shortage of water on the planet. And with the rapid rate of population increase on the planet right now, where does it leave you? There's a race for water security. In fact, was it a James Bond movie where the focus was on one company just dominating the water supply? The third thing is future healthcare. And I know we're in the middle of a pandemic and you've seen the race for vaccines. Pfizer versus Johnson & Johnson versus AstraZeneca. Then you've got Sputnik. Then you've got the Chinese. All of them are racing against each other. So medicine is a place that you need to be investing in, not just the development of vaccines, but patented technology. Things like essential organs, where you have to get into a waiting list to get a replacement heart, a replacement kidney. These organs are now being grown, synthetically grown in a lab, where the tissue is taken, it's reproduced, and fully grown organs are grown in a lab. In 30 years from now, this technology is going to be available to everybody really cheaply, extending our lifespans. And obviously, as always, it always goes to the rich first before it becomes more affordable. But this kind of technology is available now. And the fourth thing that you need to be paying attention to as an investor is New Age thinking. So here's the reality. The millennial group, born from the 90s, they are the biggest consumer market currently. And technology and products and services are going to be developed more suited to that kind of market because they are the most economically active and they are the biggest consumer group. And we're going to find the various technologies, various products all aimed at them. So us older folk, I don't know if I'm considered a millennial still, but the older folks are going to have to adapt to meet these kind of new age thinking. And remember, with millennials, they spend a lot of time online. We'll see things like online shopping increasing rapidly. The millennials, they think a little bit differently than us, okay? They're very heavy into technology. They're not so heavy into saving because especially the younger people, they're not getting paid as much as they were about 30, 40 years ago. The entry-level salaries are a lot lower. They are less likely to own a home at a lower stage. And a lot of millennials are still dependent on their parents at a more adult independent age like we see now. So as the millennials age, their prime spending power will increase and companies will be more focused to that demographic according to their needs and what their spending power is. Okay, so those are the four things that us as savvy investors need to be paying attention to. Be looking at those kind of opportunities that come our way to invest or even start businesses in those kind of arenas. But if you want to take a passive approach and start investing in those companies that are already set up, you are able to do that. And specifically, I want to talk to you about environmental sustainability because the others are equally important, but this one hits home a little bit differently. Recently, we've seen reports that Bill Gates is one of the largest owners of agricultural land in the United States. This is not a coincidence. He was the very same guy who said that the earth is overpopulated. There's too many people. The earth cannot sustain so many people. So he's been on a spree to buy out a lot of farmland in the United States. Because with so many people on the planet, there's going to be a fight for food. Food security is going to become a major issue. And countries that are not able to sustain themselves are going to be falling behind. And unfortunately, South Africa seems to be set into one of those countries if we don't put a plan in place right now. So Bill Gates, via his company Cascade Investments, so whereas you have, maybe if you're lucky enough to have a really good financial advisor, Bill Gates has a whole investment arm in the form of Cascade Investments. And they are making major purchases into land in the United States. Also via the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I'm not sure if that's still a thing, but they've accumulated a lot of land themselves, also on his personal capacity. How do you go from being a tech guy to an agricultural owner? You know, the shift is not there. So he is somebody who's investing in food security. Because while it might not be a thing now in the middle class or the upper class, it's a reality for the really poverty-stricken people in our country and even on the continent and other parts of the world. And slowly, as food becomes more scarce, it's going to creep up into the middle class, all right? And then we're going to feel the pinch. And with food security comes water security, because the reality is if you're growing food, be it vegetables and fruit and even animals, water is a major part of that. They all need water to sustain themselves. The plants need water, the animals need water. So Bill Gates, through his investment arm, Cascade Investments, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and on his personal capacity, is also investing heavily into water security. And a company that he's really buying up shares in is a company called Ecolabs that is very focused on water sustainability, data tracking of water consumption and efficient use of water, and also water recycling as well. So these two soon to be major crises work hand in hand, and Bill Gates is a man who's putting his money in that kind of industry, and you should be as well. So the men who predicted the 2008 crisis, which started off in the United States with the housing crisis that spilled over to the stock markets, and then the crisis just went global. We've all felt it. That guy was Michael Burry, and there's even a movie that was based on his experience and how he predicted this crisis. It's called The Big Short. If you haven't seen it, go and check it out. It's a really brilliant movie that will put a lot of things that I'm saying right now, into a far greater perspective. So Michael Burry is very heavily invested into water security, not just physical water, but farmland that is water rich. So the World Economic Forum is telling us that by 2030, there's going to be a 40% water shortage to meet the needs of the world population. These are the big wigs that are investing heavily into water. But here's the reality of how important water is to our basic survival. It takes 628 liters of water to produce 1 liter of milk. It takes 1,890 liters of water to produce a half a kg of chicken. It takes 132 liters of water to produce a cup of coffee. All right, and I know you're thinking you're just boiling a cup, or maybe it's 250 mils, but what we're really counting here is from pre-production, from preparing the soil to growing those plants, to maintaining those plants, to picking, to processing, to packaging, to shipping, to logistics, to buying, that entire supply chain. This is how much of water it takes to make 1 cup of coffee. All right, and I know these numbers, we haven't heard it before, so if you're getting value from this video, please subscribe to this channel. Tons of videos like this available now, and for sure we're going to be producing more like this in the future. We'll be talking about all 4 of these trends, and you can catch the playlist there. So that's what it takes to produce our meals on a daily basis. And if you're having 3 meals a day, you're having 4 or 5 cups of coffee a day, how much water goes into preparing all of that just for you? So water scarcity is a thing. We need to be paying attention to it. And I hope by these numbers, I'm going to be motivating you to take some action into basically living a lot better, being more wise with water, but even more importantly, to make those investments now, because water is a scarce commodity. If you don't see it now, in the next decade, it's going to become very, very scarce. And I want you to invest in it now. So when that need does come, you're going to be invested and getting some good returns. So we spoke about agriculture and we spoke about water. But here's the thing, 70% of agriculture is dependent on water. Okay, so you see the link now between water supply and food supply, and why we need to be paying more attention to both these industries. Another key thing that Michael Burry's company, Skion, is investing in is almond farms. I know it sounds strange, right? Almond farms, but almonds are expensive. If you buy almonds by the kilo like I do, you're paying 100 and something a kilo. And South Africa is one of the more cheaper areas. Overseas, it's really, really expensive. The United States produces anywhere from 70 to 80% of the world's almonds, and it mostly happens in the California region. And Michael Burry's company is investing heavily in farmland in that area. It takes 37 liters of water to produce 1 almond. I mean, like 1 single almond that size, 37 liters of water. And if the water is becoming scarce, and it's going to become an even more scarce commodity in the future, pushing up prices, the price of 1 almond is going to increase dramatically. And if you look at the products that come from almonds, it's crazy. Almond milk as an alternative to cow's milk, which needs over 1,800 liters to produce 1. Here you can dramatically increase it by replacing cow's milk with almond milk and get the same kind of protein as well. So these are the major changes that are happening in this industry, and I want to help you get your hands on these kind of investments really early before things start to spike. So a lot of times as investors, investment moves in a curve, and we're always buying at the peak, and then it crashes and then you lose money. But where we are now, we're at the bottom. We're at the bottom and it's ready to take off, and this is where you want to get in. And when it takes off, that's when you're going to get money and make a decent profit. But here's the thing, it's water and it's food, and the population is growing dramatically. So it's going to be taking a long time before it drops again. So if you're ready to get into this kind of investment, please click the link down below, the Get Started button, And I want to talk to you a little bit more one-on-one on how these kind of international trends can be reallocated into your investment portfolio so you can see some good results in the next decade or so. So as the world population increases, we see these companies, they're going to be working a lot harder to meet the needs of the planet, and they're going to need a lot more research, a lot more development, and they're going to be raising funds for that. They're going to be expanding their operations, so they're going to be growing at a rapid rate. So you got to be invested in these companies really early. So if you're ready to talk a little bit more about investments into environmental sustainability, click the link down below. I am ever ready to speak to you one-on-one.